The event that's taking place here today is our International Symposium towards the Sustainable Digitalization from Concept to Action. We want to use the results from our research project as a basis to discuss a European way for sustainable digitalization, and therefore we invited guests from science, society and politics.
It's a joint effort of the Einstein Center Digital Future from the Technical University of Berlin, the Institute for Ecological Economy Research, also from Berlin, and Leuphana University. And we three got together to, first of all, contribute to push the debate at the interface of digitalization and sustainability, because these two realms have not been discussed in combination to an extent that it generates enough knowledge and enough goal orientation and policy solutions.
It's great if we really bring different perspectives on this question of digital just and sustainable transformation together to really get better ideas what would be policy recommendations. How can we learn together from each other to foster this digital transformation?
We want to contribute with this symposium to lift ambition and to ensure that digitalization is really shaped in a way that is not a risk but a progressive contribution towards deep sustainability transitions.
I'm really glad that we have great colleagues here on the panel to really discuss some of the insights we got over the last couple of weeks in our project, Sustainability and Digitalization, a European Perspective, where we had expert roundtables and engaged with that topic on different levels. And some of these insights we now want to share with you and discuss further. This is the hope of our workshop. My name is Matthias Barth. I was together with my colleague Daniel Lang. I was running these roundtables, and we are now really glad to moderate and guide you through this discussion.
We are very glad to see on the European level, but even more on the global level, that now the tendency, as you mentioned, to rethink education, to rethink the role of education. We are living in an area, in a period of transformation, and we have to enable our people to shape the transformation, to be creative, to be positive about the changes, and not to be guided too much by fear and risks. The most important, it should have the element of empowering people, of making people able to act and perform.
Technologies, of course, offer significant opportunities for achieving our environmental goals and our climate goals. On the other hand, it's also quite clear that digital technologies have a huge ecological footprint, and we have to minimize that. It's quite clear to us in the federal ministry that we will only be able to achieve the transformation we need if we put the full power of the European single market behind it. We need European society on our side to achieve it. We need the business, the labor unions, civil society, the NGOs, all of them. For the common good, we believe that we also need players in this transformation who do not turn a profit when they support a sustainable digital transformation, and that there's a role for the state, for government, to empower civil society and support initiatives.
Transformation needs to take our citizens seriously and take them on board. Yeah. We urgently need a serious and open discussion process with our citizens. I think we are used too much in a top-down approach in just fixing things. So my pledge would be, as an educationalist, as an adult educator, that we urgently have to enter into serious conversations with our citizens, which are not PR and which are not overwhelming them of what we think is the right way.
Yes, I'm most happy to present to you the European Research Network Project D4S. D for S stands for Digitalization for Sustainability. In these times where we have Fridays for Future and Scientists for Future, it's kind of nice to have the 4 in the name. That's why we chose the 2.
We must together work to steer the incredible disruptive power of the digital age towards a more climate safe and equitable world.
And so we're exploring the whole system in terms of both the positives and the negatives. So I think there is immense potential for us as a community of academics to work with the private sector, to work with civil society, to work with governments to shape policy. But we must begin by understanding that much of the private sector driver on digital is actually anti-sustainable.
How can we, having those legal texts on the table already, how can we transform our knowledge and the solutions that we have into ideas that make it into those legal texts? And I think it's not only a matter of writing some sentence, but it's really research endeavor to think about how we translate scientific knowledge into questions or requirements or statements that are able to make it in those texts.
As we exchange knowledge, as we exchange best practices, as we argue and critique and also find shared spaces, it's really critical that we do it in the next few months so that the actions we're going to be taking in the next 3, 4, 5 years, because really the next 3, 5 years are critical to whether or not we're heading towards total catastrophe or not. And so how we collaborate globally is really critical, because the more of us in diverse spaces and diverse mindsets and worldviews work together, the more we'll be able to really bring an equitable view where everybody is heard, and that we bring the most richness in the work we do together.
So I think when we consider the good and the bad of digitalization, we also have to talk about the framework conditions and need to think more fundamentally, how can digitalization become a driving force for economic system change?
There has to be a democratic power distribution in how social ecological digitalization can come about. So it's also not about only politics and companies deciding, but we also need a stronger civic movement that is knowledgeable on this topic.
Online participation allows people or invites people burning for a special topic, be it professionally or be it personally, to include their perspective. And also it includes or invites affected people from decisions. It would be interesting to bring this now also to the European level. And I think it's also interesting to bring it more to an individual level, because what we do see is that the democratic culture, especially participation, is on every level. So it's individually, it's also within civil society, it's nationally, it's European.
We noticed in our Bits and Bäume work that you can, or also in many, many discussions, that you can kind of steer who really gets a say or who feels entitled to speak when you talk about, especially about technology, because it's a lot about digital literacy as well. And we can also see that social power dynamics and the knowledge on that digital technology have a little bit of an overlap. So you sometimes miss out on important perspectives when you talk a lot about technical stuff, when we actually should talk about social equality and sustainability, that people who think they don't know enough about, I don't know, all the buzzwords like blockchain or AI or whatever, that they don't give their opinion, which would be really important.
Especially when you take technology and sustainability together, you put like two very technical words all together, and it's very hard for citizens to be part of that, because you actually need a lot of technical knowledge, but also technicians tend to think that it's only a technical problem, and that's when the issue starts. And we need to, civil society is here, should have a voice to open up, to make it a social-technical issue, something that is political, so it's something that is bigger than just carrying electricity to an antenna or to a data center. It's something where technical expertise is never enough, and there is too many hidden political agendas in the digital sector to let sustainability be another technical issue. There is a thing when we talk about digital sustainability initiatives in Europe, is that most of the time we don't really speak with each other. And like, for example, like my knowledge of the German landscape through Beats and Bäume is quite new. It's maybe like one year old. And we didn't know each other before, while we've been working on the same topic for a few years. And that's the thing, we don't have like a common ground to share and to exchange in different languages.
To set standards and we have to set rules, because we can't just expect, that just saying that we want green ICT will in the end do the job, because we have asked also big technology companies to please be more cautious with our democracy, and that's also something that they didn't really do.
I think also this, in similar spirit, I guess I should just add that these policy pilots can also happen in terms of technology pilots. Like, yes, we're talking about these big global, big tech players, but there are also many pilots that happen at a local level, at a north-south level that can also show us this positive future or innovation for society. I like that phrase. And so I guess continuing to invest, coming from a place where we say, okay, we're based in Europe, we're invested in Europe, we know we can have an impact in Europe, but also we need to be thinking about these issues globally and doing pilots.
The need to pressure shareholders and the need to pressure parliamentarians to take these issues forward is fundamental. So civil society really needs to speak very clearly on this topic and have a political agenda and take it to their parliamentarians, take it to their ministries of foreign affairs, and make sure that the member states are putting forward these issues in major international debate. We can actually move at the speed and scale needed in the next 10 years with these technologies, provided they are governed properly, they're equitable, they're inclusive, they're diverse, all of the, they're sustainable, all of the caveats. But I think the possibility is there. And that, what I like about the sector is the hope that it brings. And I'm not a techno optimist by any stretch, but I am hopeful that we can use these tools to achieve and drive forward sustainability.
Do we want, full-on surveillance by the state, like in China, or full-on surveillance by big corporations like in the US, or do we have a different way? And I think it is becoming more and more clear that, we don't want either of those options to be the European way. And ensuring that everyone is connected, but also ensuring that, they are connected to an online world and into a digital society that is beneficial for everyone, is what we are going to have to try to achieve in the coming years.
What would you say are the biggest challenges in making these ideas actually happen?
We actually have momentum. We have maybe more momentum than we even realize, and we have more allies than we realize. And it's about finding with whom we share this common analysis and actually just start going. It's been a breath of fresh air to be a part of this event today, I have to be honest, because so often I talk about all the topics that have been discussed this afternoon, but it's very rare that we're discussing them as a holistic issue that we have to tackle. So we have to break out of our silos.
So we need fundamentally new governance frameworks at the international level for dealing with the challenges of digitalization. More of these coalitions of the willing, right? Countries that want to come together and act collectively, and countries that want to do so together with companies.
To bring change, we need digitization and the digital space. It has to be safe, it has to be free, but we need it. So let's just make sure it's the best one we can have.